This is a clip from the Club podcast brought to you by Super 6. I'm loving this because already my football knowledge is superior to Rory's, and we can see it actually on an app. If you check it out, join our league, the Club S6 to join. You'll see me at the top of our mini table between me, Rory and Adam. I'm currently top of that, and obviously there's two chances this week to win 250 grand if you get all the scores and results correct. If you guess the golden goal, that is the differentiator as well. So if you get all of that right, you can win 250 grand, which is an unbelievable amount of money for a free-to-play game. It's unbelievable. If you get the highest points per round as well, that's an opportunity to win 5 grand. And within our own league, there's 1,300 of you right now. If you come top every round, you get £100 at classic football shirts. That means whatever team you support, Man United, Chelsea, Man City, Coventry, you can get a retro football shirt for £100, which is unbelievable. So make sure you check it out. Download the app, join our link, the Club S6 to join.
You're watching a clip from the Club podcast.
Make sure you follow it on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and give it a 5-star review.
So here you go, is a lovely clip from our podcast.
The focus, and it's important that we do this, focus of that football match that we watched at the Etihad is the brilliance of Man City and how Pep Guardiola got it so right, and how Jack Grealish took the game by storm and Riyad Mahrez was unplayable and John Stones looked like Franz Beckenbauer, and all of that is important to talk about. But we have to look at this from the other perspective as well.
Of course.
Liverpool.
Oh, I thought you were talking Arsenal.
No, Liverpool. I think we need to talk about the impact on Liverpool. I don't think people are focusing enough, and I think it's right that you focus on the victor, to the victor, the spoils and all that. But you also have to acknowledge that Manchester City and Liverpool were so neck and neck. And in that second half, they looked like they were polar opposites.
I think that comes down to, I think a lot of Liverpool got their recruitment right on various points throughout that journey with Klopp. But I think this is what happens when you rely on a manager's genius more than a club building success for a long-term period. I don't think those owners have done that. I don't think they've supported him in the right way. I think Klopp will always come out, and Liverpool fans will always come out and say, James Milner is a fantastic servant to the club and all this, that and the other. But the facts are he shouldn't still be there running around. You know,
coming on to change the game,
like,
City, as if the game's gone. Like
he shouldn't still be there.
Definitely.
There's a lot of things that are, I think, beyond Jurgen Klopp there. But you could also argue he's getting a few things wrong himself at times.
Where does the buck stop then with Jurgen Klopp? Because someone like Van Dijk, whether we'd all agree Van Dijk is at the right age category to still be at Liverpool, captain in the side, being at least leading the side. How can you attest to the fact that he let Riyad Mahrez slip so easily for the first Man City goal? He was poor whole game. His levels dropped off this season. Is that a coaching issue? Is that the fact that Klopp hasn't been able to reinvest like Adam said? What is it? Because I feel like Jurgen Klopp has to get some pressure from the football narrative. In this very
specific example that you're talking about here, this very specific, the Van Dijk question, I put that responsibility at Van Dijk's door. I think Virgil van Dijk, as the footballer, as the elite footballer, needs to take responsibility for his own performances. So I think that in that exact example that you're talking about, I wouldn't really blame Klopp. I think Klopp has been perhaps let down by some of his more senior players. But there are also a myriad of examples where I could say, I think Klopp's got it wrong. I think Klopp's conduct has been wrong. I think Klopp's wild. A little bit. I think Klopp's approach at times has been wrong. I think he's been slightly wild here.
He's been wild on the touchline.
He's been a bit wild.
A bit aggy.
And
what's funny about that?
Ultimately, there are many moments where I would say that Jurgen Klopp is responsible for this. He's actually responsible. I think the buck does stop with him. The question is, though, up until very recently, if you said to me, how did Liverpool fix their problems at the beginning of this season, say, when it was going a little bit wrong, even very early, the draw against Fulham, wherever, when Arsenal beat them, I would have said, I don't really care what you do. You back Klopp. Klopp's the solution to all of the problems. There is nothing other than Klopp that matters. And that's applicable to Sadio Mane when he was there. That's applicable to Firmino. It's certainly applicable to Salah, Van Dijk, Alisson, whoever. Keep Klopp happy, back Klopp, and Liverpool will rise to the top and win another Premier League. I truly believe that Klopp was the answer. I'm starting now to think it isn't that Klopp isn't a top-tier manager, but sometimes just the shelf life ends.
Also, has he changed enough? Do you know, like, the team still relies upon
Fabinho doing his thing. And,
the team, has it evolved enough? Has it become different? I think we always criticise Pep for doing it at the wrong times occasionally, like tinkering and changing things and trying to do things. But that helps him become less predictable.
Yeah.
Like, are Liverpool becoming more predictable? Does everyone just kind of know what they're going to do?
Liverpool don't get... Sorry. Jurgen Klopp does not get rid of Cancelo in the same context. He doesn't. I thought it was the wrong decision at the time. I think you've always got to use assets in your squad to win football games when you can win a Premier League, a Champions League, an FA Cup. But it actually has been vindicated because Grealish's form, arguably, because he's got a little bit more of the ball, he's got Nathan Ake's more of defensive cover as opposed to Cancelo overlapping him, so he's able to do more. That Cancelo move is a Guardiola masterstroke.
And Cancelo spent a lot of time on the bench in Bayern.
Yeah, exactly. So he's vindicated in that way. So, Adam's 100% right.
To keep it on Klopp then, like, and maybe top line here, like, to put you on a spot. I know it's difficult, lads, but do you think Klopp is still the answer to Liverpool's problems, or do we need to start having a managerial conversation about Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool?
What he achieved last season, a couple of games away from a quadruple, it's surreal.
Agreed.
It's surreal how good it can be. If you can give him 5 kids in the summer of a kind of age category, of a kind of physicality, of a work ethic, I think we all agree Chouameni is an example of that kind of player that could have changed things. Bellingham, however wild that is to say. But
they're not. That's not going to happen.
He's not going to be back. They signed Arthur. He's got no physicality. He's a kind of lone guy. He's happy to clap or handshake, Guardiola's hand at the Etihad. If they can back him properly, he's the right guy.
Okay, but what about if they can't? Because it doesn't seem like they can. So what about in the context, not in the idealistic context that you're painting? What about in the realistic context?
But the realistic context, which you're right to say, yeah, the owners haven't got the ability to spend 600 million quid like Chelsea have. But whoever the manager is, whether it's Klopp, let's just say it's Nagelsmann as an example in the summer, let's just say, they still have to spend money. I'd rather give Klopp 250 million quid. It has to happen. If the owners want Champions League football every season, which Liverpool have to be, they're a Champions League club, obviously. They need 250 million quid this summer.
Look at Liverpool, and who would they attract? That's better.
I think they'd attract anyone really.
There's
no better than Klopp.
I qualified that question. That's better than or as good as Klopp.
Oh no, it isn't about that. I think the person that comes in next at Liverpool, whenever it happens, won't be as good as Klopp. But it isn't about that. It's about
Liverpool could be better than they are now.
But Liverpool could certainly be better than they are now. And the person that comes in will come in with a fresh idea. Sometimes it's about just revolutionising. Sometimes it's about just changing. Like, it isn't about
saying to you, like, though, how much of, obviously this sounds mental now because they actually went and won the Premier League and the Champions League and all those things. And these players are Premier League winners and Champions League winners. But how much of, like, I remember saying at a certain point, you think Pep would still have Robertson and Trent in his team? How to know? Because he would have spent 50 million and replaced one of them and spent 50 million and replaced another one of them. He wouldn't have had to develop them. So how much of this team being what they were was down to Klopp? Do you know what I mean? And we're kind of giving credit to these players for being better than they actually are.
I think Klopp is extraordinary. I think he built that team. I think he deserves more credit than anyone in the success that they had, ending their 30-year Premier League droughts, ending their, it wasn't particularly a drought in Europe, but they went, 05 until they won it most recently, which is a significant time for a club like Liverpool. Years, yeah. So I think he deserves more credit than anyone. I'd give Klopp the credit ahead of anyone. I think he got it so right, and I think he was perfect. But sometimes, even the perfect person at the perfect time is no longer in the perfect role.
Like Poch at Spurs.
Yeah, I think Pochettino at Tottenham, the shelf life just ended. The idea ended. There was just a natural evolution cycle.
Are you asking a question, or is that your opinion? To
be totally frank with you, mate, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm now starting to think that Jurgen Klopp isn't the right man to take.
I see what he's doing here. Put pressure on Klopp to be sacked publicly. He goes before Potter. Klopp replaces Potter.
No way.
No, look, I'd love that. Because
that'd be amazing.
The thing is, though, when Jurgen Klopp eventually leaves Liverpool, when Jurgen Klopp eventually leaves Liverpool, he will go to whatever club he wants. Like, I think Bayern Munich would have preferred Klopp over Tuchel. I think he's seen as the best German-speaking manager.
Could potentially be a Real Madrid manager.
But but he gets any top-tier club, no doubt. He is that good. He is sensational. But sometimes, even the best in their pomp, when Jose Mourinho was sacked by Chelsea in 07, Jose Mourinho was still the best manager in the world, arguably. he went on to win the treble at Inter fairly soon after that. He won that in 10.
But his
We
time
sacked
was
him in
done at
07.
Chelsea.
But at Chelsea, incorrectly in my opinion, it just ended. It was over. The players had stopped buying into him. It just felt done. And the question I am asking in a really roundabout way here is that what's happened here with Klopp? Or is Klopp the answer and everything else is irrelevant?